Due Process, winner of 25 regional Emmy Awards, including the 2014 New York Emmys for our coverage of criminal justice and current affairs. Due Process is a presentation of Rutgers School of Law, Newark, and the Edward J. Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy. Studio facilities provided by the Rutgers ITV Studio, Division of Continuing Studies.
If you're a low-level drug dealer or you violate your parole, you owe some debt to society. But you don't owe 20 years. You don't owe a life sentence.
Mass incarceration, fueled by a failed war on drugs. A president hopes to reverse the trend with unprecedented commutations, while senators press for sentencing reform, making the punishment fit the crime, reducing the prison population on this edition of Due Process.
Major funding for Due Process provided by the Fund for New Jersey, supporting informed citizens for an effective democracy. Additional funding from the New Jersey State Bar Foundation and the PSEG Foundation, making things better in our communities.
Not long ago, it would have been unthinkable. A U.S. president, a bipartisan group of senators, and law enforcement leaders from America's major cities, all of them urging a shift from the ongoing war on drugs to a new paradigm, a softened approach to drug crime. I'm Raymond Brown.
And I'm Sandra King. Now under new scrutiny and attack, what the New York Times calls the harsh, counterproductive policies that have driven America's devastating prison boom, destroyed communities, written off an entire generation of young men of color. It's a movement that's been mounting, though it didn't fully catch public attention until Barack Obama went where no president had gone before.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I know this is the first time this has ever happened.
A dramatic way to underscore his call for meaningful criminal justice reform. A message he's carried from El Reno Federal Prison in Oklahoma to the NAACP conference in Philadelphia.
Over the last few decades, we've also locked up more and more nonviolent drug offenders than ever before for longer than ever before. In far too many cases, the punishment simply does not fit the crime.
And it wasn't just talk. Just one day earlier, he'd commuted the sentences of 46 federal inmates, all serving long, hard time for nonviolent drug crimes, most involving cocaine base or crack.
I believe these folks deserve their second chance.
The Fair Sentencing Act of 2010 had reduced the disproportionate penalties for crack and powder cocaine, and more than 7,000 federal prisoners had their sentences reduced. But many of the Obama commutations involved the more prickly question of pre-2010 mandatory minimums.
We have to reconsider whether 20-year, 30-year life sentences for nonviolent crimes is the best way for us to solve these problems.
And though the president's freeing of just 46 may seem largely symbolic in view of the massive numbers imprisoned, the 6,000 later cleared by the Justice Department for early release will have wide impact. And it's only the beginning. The U.S. Sentencing Commission changed the guidelines again last year, and their retroactive effect could ultimately mean less time for as many as 46,000 federal inmates, nearly half of those in for drug crimes.
The United States will never be able to prosecute or incarcerate its way to becoming a safer nation.
It's what former Attorney General Eric Holder calls a sea change in the country's approach to drug crime and over-incarceration.